friends, God bless you. Welcome back to Traveler of the Wood. I'm out here in the woods again. Sorry if I sound a little winded, as you saw. I don't know if you can tell behind me. These rocks just go up really high, and I scaled, as you saw at the beginning of this video, up a bluff and then back down into the valley here, so definitely feeling a little bit more winded than normal. I'm also really hungry too. I haven't eaten much today, but I am kind of fasting right now. Just for the sake of spiritual matters, honestly. I feel like since the last video, I kind of mentioned it, but there are serious demonic forces at work right now, and many people are feeling it. I have had several conversations since that last video with some friends that are in agreement that something happened. I guess you could say maybe at the beginning of this month, but almost more so the beginning of this week. It's just everybody's been kind of feeling this sense of something, some sort of demonic presence. I mentioned feeling like I've been having to really battle with some things recently, and it's quite true. It's been pretty difficult for me and pretty scary, but I'm doing what I can. So I would appreciate all of you if you would pray for me, and I will most certainly pray for all of you, because big things, I think, are happening, and we have just yet to really realize what those things are. So, anyway, in that last video, I was mentioning the sigils. I found a very good example of that I will show you in a second, but first, I really enjoy this. It almost looks like it was placed like that. I think it might have been. It's like a mini Fred Flintstone house. It's weird whenever you get out in the woods like this. Sometimes you just come across stuff and you wonder, was that a natural formation? Was that put there by somebody? That one looked put there by somebody, but who knows? But anyway, what I was talking about, demonic sigils. They are everywhere. They're embedded in pretty much everything we use. And I have been recently reading a book about privacy, and basically just covering how much you're being tracked by things and all of this stuff. And I really have been finding it kind of troubling, and I'm trying not to let it make me too paranoid. But what the book does not mention is that all of these tracking things are just, their branding is absolutely covered with demonic sigils, with demonic intent. Even some of their mottos, are just different spell incantations. It is really crazy stuff. So, sorry, getting distracted again. That goes down kind of into the valley more, but it's just so beautiful. And it's so quiet out here. I feel like I'm ruining a little bit of the quietness by talking about demons. But it's important. This is really important stuff. So here is an example of what I'm talking about as far as Google, especially Google. Google is kind of the whole framework of all of this stuff. And they have the most obvious use of, you know, demonic symbolism. But everything that's, you know, it's all connected. Facebook's connected into it and everything. And in this book I'm reading, you know, it was talking about how insane Facebook's tracking capabilities are, which they are really quite crazy. And even if you don't have a Facebook, toward the beginning of Facebook's start, they just started going ahead and planning on people joining. So they started reserving people's names. I don't know where they were getting the names from, but basically they were making a Facebook account for you without your consent and just having it on standby and getting those tracking algorithms and protocols ready for you. Super sinister stuff. But on top of that, Facebook, I'm assuming they still do, but they did in the past. I think I saw a video about this like maybe 10 or 12 years ago. But one of their chief technology people was talking about how they basically make a digital avatar of you. And they can run simulations with that avatar. And through those simulations, they can tell what you're talking about, when you're talking about it, what time of day, you know, you're talking about it, and just basically start to make an exact digital copy of you and essentially your consciousness. And it uses the information that you give voluntarily to Facebook to hone and refine it. But that's why when you are talking about something, you know, and you see an ad immediately right afterwards, that's how they know, because they've already run the simulation. It's not just that they're listening to you, it's just that they have a literal digital copy of your consciousness, at least as far as they think. And they run simulations with it to see what you're talking about. So if that doesn't trouble you, I don't know what will. But yeah, back to these sigils and symbols. We're surrounded by this every day. And I saw a video the other day talking about, there's a channel, what are they called? I think it's just called Harmony, period, like with a period. And it's Orthodox Christian content channel, but they have a video on fasting of the eyes, which I think is actually super important, no matter your religious framework. I was just talking about how as the internet has evolved, now we're in a state where we are seeing big images with text, simple text, very simple text. And no matter what the text says, it falls under a category of incantations. So just a good example is Nike, just do it. What does just do it say to people? That says to people who are struggling with sin, struggling with hedonism, struggling with whatever, just do it. It's fine. That's like a peak level demonic statement, because that's the first thing that demons say to you whenever you're struggling with trying to resist a passion or something. They just say, just do it. And think about how much just that simple branding of Nike is everywhere. All these sports ball figures and whatnot, even outdoor equipment, Nike clothing is all over everything. So when you wear that little check mark, that's a sigil. And that sigil has attached to it, just do it. It's a demonic reminder to everyone around you, including yourself, to ignore your conscious mind and just do it. Very troubling stuff. And of course, it doesn't stop there. It's on everything. Everything has some variety of this. But how can you really truly fast from your eyes other than just closing your eyes for long periods of time? I mean, that is kind of what meditation is for. But it's like we need a long fast, a long time fast from this stuff. I would say forever, personally, but you know, that's not practical for most people. So that is most certainly something to consider, though, going forward. So, sorry, I'm kind of rambling. Like I said, my brain is actually having trouble. I've been thinking about how, you know, we have this term brain rot, this Gen Z term, but we've been suffering with brain rot for such a long time. I mean, it's incredible how long of a time we've been dealing with this kind of thing. And the more you participate in modernity, the more you participate in the mass spellcasting, the mass consumerism, the more you do lose your ability to think. I mean, this is all by design. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here. This is just literally evil, demonic design of how this stuff kind of works. So, you know, how do you fight back against something like this? You know, I feel like I have some answers to that, but I don't necessarily have all of the answers. I definitely don't have the amount of answers that I wish I had. So, this is where we're at. And I used to, even just, you know, a couple years ago, you know, I would, you know, I was very much a champion of the meme, you know, abandon modernity, embrace tradition kind of thing. But I didn't realize how serious of a problem modernity is until fairly recently. I mean, I've just been studying this for long periods of time now. And the more I see, the more I'm like, man, we have got to turn this ship around really fast. And we're trying to turn the ship around with a rowboat. And I don't think that's going to work. So the only alternative is going to be people trying to lead by example and abandoning a lot of this stuff. You know, I want to get off the internet entirely, and I was thinking about that, and it's like, well, of course, my YouTube is connected through Google, and it's connected through a Google email address, so I can delete every email address that I have except for that one if I want to keep the YouTube channel, which I do because I feel like this is kind of my purpose in life right now, is making these videos. But yeah, we've been put into a system that is designed to be inescapable once you hit a certain point. You know, I think I mentioned this in my last video. I was the last person in my friend group to acquire a Facebook. And I just didn't realize at the time, this is kind of back in my hippie days, how good I had it being not connected at all to the internet, really. And just, I mean, I was just free to exist. I had a very simple phone. I was the last person in my friend group to get a smartphone. I just traveled around and did stuff. What I call being wizard pilled, which is kind of what I'm trying to do with my life right now. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if it is coming across in these videos or not, but I've been really in a very unique place. And of course, having a wife that is sick with cancer, being technically unemployed. I recently saw a thing on X. I'll post a screenshot of it here. This is truly one of the magical things about the character Tom Bombadil in Lord of the Rings. He is a person who accepts things as they are and is not looking at things for how they can be useful to him. That is what we should really, truly all strive to be. Of course, that's difficult because we have all these needs, and we have all these wants that are confused for needs. And it makes people unable to just look at someone as they are and just accept them without thinking how they can be useful to them. Now, of course, there's evil in the world, and there's evil people, and when we see that, we should recognize it and not just simply accept evil, of course. But that's the true mystery of Tom Bombadil in the story, is that he sees the ring, he knows what the ring is, but he just accepts it for what it is, and it has no effect on him. Such an interesting story, an interesting figure. I've been rereading Lord of the Rings, by the way. I highly recommend you read that if you have not recently. I mean, I would say probably it's one of my favorite works of literature, and I'm not so much of a reader, but I'm more of a researcher type, I guess. But the Lord of the Rings, that's just a story you can get very absorbed in. So, and see, of course, that aesthetic, that ethos of Lord of the Rings has affected me so much in my life that I use terms like wizard pilled, things like that. So it is weird how all of this stuff ties in and how all of this really works. So, try and get back on topic here. Okay, so where I was going was that I'm dealing with a lot right now. And the brain rot that I feel like I'm getting from the internet in general. I'm not watching, quote, brain rot. I'm just trying to keep up with things, keep up with, whatever, the news, watch some YouTube videos or whatever I do. And I can feel it making my brain less able to think clearly and less able to think accurately. And I'm very blessed because I've realized this about myself and have, I think, realized it in time to start turning that around. But man, it's really a problem, and I think there's been something wrong with people that I've been noticing, and I haven't really been putting two and two together, but everybody is losing their ability to think critically, but also just think in general. Keep a straight thought. It's kind of this perpetual blanket of ADD that everyone is starting to develop. And I think since I've had actual ADD for such a long time, I maybe am a little bit more aware of it when it's around. And I kind of have some psychological tools that I've developed over the years to deal with ADD. But yeah, even some of those are not working as well lately, just because I get thrown off so easily, and it's because of just this endless scroll, this distracting nature of the, quite honestly, fake internet reality. I hope that's making sense. some big rocks over here. I want to go look at these big rocks before I go. Yeah, so we're in a really interesting situation right now. God, even just saying that term, we're in an interesting situation right now, feels like something that's just said and no one really even thinks about it. Interesting is really kind of a terrible word because it's a nothing word. So let's embrace the ADD for a minute and just admire these rocks. This is like a huge rock face. Giant old stones. Oh man. It's beautiful. So beautiful. Let's see if I can make it back down here to the trail without falling. Nope, there we go. Ah, man. I'm trying to be mindful of where the sun is so I don't blind the camera. So, I guess I should wrap this video up now. I've been going for about 20 minutes. Be mindful of the logos that are on you and that are on others. Be mindful of people using these kind of mass spell incantations. Sometimes you'll hear people, you know, this is the interesting thing about meme culture. Pardon my jumping around. A meme, in the words of Terence McKenna, is the smallest unit of an idea. So when we say a meme, you know, the just do it that I was talking about earlier, that's a meme. That's the smallest unit of an idea. It's a very potent one, though, a very scary one, because just do it, very clearly demonic incantation and demonic command, almost. Even through memes, we develop these words and phrases that sometimes are nonsensical and sometimes absurdist, you know, and I mean, I appreciate absurdist humor, honestly, but sometimes they're not, you know, sometimes they are. So I'm going to try, and I urge you all to try to be extra mindful of these kind of things when you see it, when you see memes with text on them. Be mindful of what they say. See if they sound like anything, or if they're, you know, what's it called? Is it an anagram where it's like a different word with the letters mixed up to spell something else? You know, that's how all this stuff works. It's all based on inverted things, coded things, and yeah. But sometimes it's not even coded at all, and sometimes it's just right in your face. I mean, they throw it directly in your face. And nobody seems to care. And when I say nobody, obviously, if you're watching this video, you probably care. But it seems to me that some people just don't. A lot of people don't. And that's well, it's an interesting, I better not say it again. That's a unique and scary place to be in. Oh, man. I don't know if you have noticed, but when I'm making these videos when I'm out hiking and I'm alone, it does seem to make me better able to just talk, kind of just let the thoughts spill forth. Whenever I'm making a video in my car, I'm not moving. You know, this is an ADD symptom also, where if I'm sitting still, it's super hard for me to think and stay focused. But if I'm moving, I'm occupying brain space, doing something repetitive and meditative. So that kind of calms my mind down to where I can express thoughts a little easier. So I'm really wishing we could move back to the Arkan lands. We've been kind of trying to figure out a solution for our current predicament, but we haven't come to the master fix yet. So, but yeah, really, Arkansas to me means good food and good community, whereas the suburbia that I live outside of St. Louis is just a whirlwind of houses that all look the same and corporate restaurants. Thank you all so much for joining me on this little walk. I have just so many ideas for videos, and like I said, been struggling lately with all sorts of things, but keeping my brain functioning has been one of those things that I've been kind of struggling with. So you are all very, very loved, not only by me, but by God above, the great creator of all of this beautiful, majestic realm that we live in. So stay tuned, because you will see and hear more from me in the coming days. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day.